Heavy rains brought more than 9 inches of precipitation to parts of Connecticut at the end of March, resulting in near-historic flood levels. The Quinebaug River, flowing through Jewett City, a borough of Griswold, had overflown its banks, flooding numerous homes and businesses. A major concern for the town was the Jewett City Water Pollution Control Plant. With 1,800 customers, the threat of sewage water contaminating the floodwaters and also backing up into homes seemed imminent. Ken Sullivan, the director of utilities for Jewett City, realized more help was needed once the floodwaters had begun to fill the buildings at the plant and was too much for the town firefighters and town employees to take on by themselves. Sullivan made the call for the National Guard and was answered with help from the 192nd Engineer Battalion. Lieutenant Colonel Kim Rollstone, the 192nd Engineer Battalion commander, said, "We know how to anticipate possible missions, and we started putting some of our alert practices into play. When we were activated, we were able to get folks in pretty quickly." And with that, more than 50 soldiers from the 192nd were sent to the Jewett City plant to fill sandbags and use them to build walls around the 3 critical buildings at the facility to keep any more water from entering them. As it was, 4 feet of water had already crept into the buildings, putting them at risk for shutting down operations of the plant. The buildings were the soldiers' main focus because they housed important electrical equipment and pumping systems that process about 330,000 gallons of water a day. 2 fire trucks from the 246th and the 256th fire detachments were used to pump out water that surrounded the buildings, as well as the water from the inside. Connecticut's Governor M. Jody Rell had visited flood-damaged areas in the state and arrived at the plant to observe the progress the Guard had made. The Guardsmen filled sandbags, built walls, and pumped water away from the plant all day. We are grateful that these men and women are always ready to help their neighbors and fellow citizens during emergencies such as this. Ken Sullivan was also appreciative of the National Guard's quick response and said the soldiers were instrumental in the effort to save the plant, in keeping it up and running, and ultimately avoided a potentially horrible situation. Sergeant Ron Avery, the crew chief from the 256th Fire Detachment, gave us his perspective on the mission.
It's a large undertaking, but I think we did well. I think it's a great thing when the state uses the assets that it has. Everybody knows their job, so I mean, it's been enjoyable.
The 192nd Engineer Battalion is made up of the 192nd Headquarters and Forward Support Companies from Stratford, the 248 Engineer Company out of Norwich, the 250th Multi-Role Bridge Company in New London, and the 246th and the 256th Fire Detachments from East Lyme. In total, 150 National Guard soldiers and airmen were alerted to help out with the flooding.